Morning, guys. I thought I'd introduce myself to the group. I do not like to type that much. I will every now and then, but I got fat fingers and misspelling and have to go back and correct it, and all the labor involved with doing text online is something I've grown way past because I'm busy out there training dogs, doing what I do. For those that don't know me, my name is Mark Ferrasci. I own a training firm here in the high desert outside of LA, and I've been training dogs since I've been about 12 years old. And my main claim to fame over the years is that I've worked in California, up and down the California coast, and lived in the back of kennels from a very young age. I started at 12, like I said. So at 16, I got my first job as a professional trainer with my first training firm. Worked with them for 2 years, and all I wanted to do back then, back in the 70s, was do bite work. And so I took my German Shepherd that I had raised and trained and used as my demo dog to get my job with that small firm in my area in San Luis Obispo County. And they knew I wanted to do bite work. Well, they had connections in the Bay Area with a large training firm back then. It's no longer around up down in the Bay Area anymore, but they ended up growing into 5 pet stores, a huge training field, and were very well known. It was called Pro Train. So that was my experience. I lived in the back of that kennel for 2 years before I came back to my small town and opened my first business. And over the years, I've had probably 3, 4, 5 different dog training businesses, and just go along in business, then find another job or family, things happen or whatever goes on. Over the years, I've trained dogs, been around Cesar Milan, the dog whisperer. Lived at his place on 163rd in South Central for 2 years and hung with him pretty heavy. So my expertise as far as the e-collar is concerned, and that's kind of what this group is all about, the e-collar, is learning and growing from a couple that was by the name of Dobbs, very well-known trainers, and they used to work for Tritronics and do seminars up and down all over the place, all throughout the United States. And I wrote a lot of good articles and really had a good emphasis, and they were a big part of how the e-collar started to take off and started to be used in the industry, because Tritronics, now it's Garmin. Garmin's taken over the Tritronic name, but it used to be called Tritronics. And there's a lot of history involved with the e-collars in that regards, and how they worked and how they were designed back then. Think of the cell phone. Remember, they started out to be huge old bricks, and then they toned down, and now we've got so that's the same thing. Technology moves along. Back then, to change the current, you had to take a plug out, put a plug in, take the collar out, all this stuff that you had to do to even get a different stimulation level. And then they came up with the new methods where they were able to dial it in and then get a lot more stimulation from 0 to 100, 125, some of the collars have. So that gradient, being able to change it to that level instead of just going from 1 through 7, 1 through 10, and that jump in stimulation level was so much higher that they ended up getting to about 7 or 8, and your dog was yelping, screaming, right? Because you're at the top of that ceiling within that little. So technology's moved. Now we have the variants to be able to take this and go from a 0 and go up, and then catch the dog's working level, make sure that's the least that he can feel, and we can teach the dog through proper training techniques how to turn the collar stimulation off so that they understand it. And then once you get that, what we call a 3-way turnoff, the Dobbs were the one that introduced this with all their knowledge in regards to the e-collars and using it as a functional tool. That's my method. That's the way I do things, and I always do what's called the 3-way turnoff. What that means is we're basically going to break in the collar, we're going to layer in that collar in such a way that the dog understands, and we give the power to the dog, and they have the ability to turn it off. And so that's what my methods are, and that's my main emphasis. But there's all kinds of techniques that are probably a lot higher and better in regards to new technology and new methods that they've got today. That's kind of what I wanted to join the group for. But again, I'm pretty busy. I've got anywhere from 6 to 10 dogs in house at a time that I'm working personally, and so it depends on what I've got going on. But I thought I'd chime in and introduce myself. I have a e-collar area on my YouTube, because I do a lot of promotional type stuff and educational type of videos on my YouTube channel. And one of those sections is a playlist area that used to be a community tab that you could set up for your community, and they took that down, so there's no longer a community tab, so you just got to do playlist, which sucks in my mind, because the community tab allowed me to put out information and always be picked up by my members, and they could find it, and I could put it in a storage area that everybody could get to it. So one of those areas was on the e-collar, and I went over the whole subject and broke it all down. I will put a link in here so you guys can go watch it. Those of you that don't understand the tool or that have a lot less knowledge in regards to it, you'd probably be very well served watching this little series I put together at no cost. I don't charge anything from it. There's a lot of trainers out there doing the online training bit and charging for their stuff and bells and whistles with their filming and sound and all that. I'm old school, so that means that I don't one, have the ability to do that, and two, have the want or the inclination to want to tie myself down to a computer. I'm out there working dogs and doing what I got to do to take care of the kennel and animal husbandry and educating my customers and all that sort of things what I do. So I don't live online as much. The only thing I really do is do a lot of yakking at the screen to do those videos so that you guys can learn and grow from what you see, and I put it out raw. It's exactly what I'm working out at the time. I don't hide anything. I let you see everything, right? A lot of trainers will only let you see when it's a finished product because they want to look good and crow, you know, I'm the best trainer in the world. Okay, fine. But my goal is to educate, to teach, because that's what I love to do. It's part of training. When you train dogs, it's not just the dog, it's your customer. And so it's important to me that I do the best I can to educate and teach people and to do that. And that's kind of why I'm chiming in with this video, so you guys can get a feel for who I am and where my expertise level, and then be able to help you out best I can with my limited time. Keep that in mind. Somebody already answered me when I chimed in on the list and was asking, you know, who knows the dogs? Who knows what a three-way turnoff is? You know, and nobody really replied with an answer, so nobody really knows. But I'll go ahead and put the link up at some point. I'm out driving. A lot of my time is driving. I'm out in the high desert, so to get anywhere, it's like 30, 45 minutes away from me. So, I will post up my e-collar offerings that I've got. There's like 6-7 different videos in there, and I do the best job I can of breaking it all down, giving you some history, giving you where the collars came from, etc., and what my opinions are in regards to using the tool. I have a certain opinion in how I use the tool and how I bring it in and layer it into my training program, and that is done by the e-collar is one of the last things I use, okay? Depending. I mean, if I've got a problem, I can use it and get lickety split maybe, but for the most part, it's a communication tool in my mind, and I want to make sure that I do the best by the dog by making sure he's already conditioned to do all kinds of different behaviors, and then I layer in the collar, and it's an off-leash training tool, right? I don't use it in a general sense. It is used now and then, but in a general sense, I don't use it for punishment. Okay, I use it on low stimulation, and I teach the dog to turn off that stimulation by complying to a command that he already knows, right? And I layer it in that way, and I build a whole baseboard of that so the dog's got a firm understanding of it. Punishment is not used except for first event learning type of things that you need to use it for. You may get creative in using it, but in that respect, I don't like people to live by that standard and think of the tool, the e-collar, as a punishment tool. Most of your general public, that's what they're going to do. They look at it as going and buying that collar because I want to stop a dog from doing something. And our human psychology and the way we deal with things, we always want to spank, we want to punish, and we think that's going to get an animal to stop. No, it's not. Conditioning and doing things properly and taking your time. I've got an old saying, always too fast, never too slow. Take your time, right? So I generally do not bring in the e-collar until the dog's pretty much done with his training program, and I add it in as an off-leash training tool and as a finishing tool. And that's the way I use the e-collar, right? I don't like it when I see somebody go in with the availability of these collars and go buy it off the shelf and end up going slapping another dog without any understanding of dog psychology and how to condition an animal to even condition behaviors in the first place. They have no clue, and they want to punish something away and fry the dog. And/or frustrated dog trainers that don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're frying the dog. It's inhumane, it's improper, and it's a very worthwhile tool that we don't want to have taken out of our hands. And if we end up letting these people get away with that sort of behavior without calling them on it, that's what's going to happen, right? So I'm like Larry Crone in regards to him going after these guys he hears about it, people kind of tell him, whisper in his ear, and he goes off on them as far as them being stupid and doing stupid things, right? So humans are always going to be humans. So in that regards, it's something that I don't believe in licensing either. It's something that we need to have a certain amount of peer pressure and a certain amount of advocating something and educating people in its proper use, so that we get the idiots to stop doing what they do with ignorance, right? That's the problem. It's always ignorance. It's always lack of understanding and knowledge, right? Get off the couch and learn and grow with your animal, and you'll do a lot better, right? So, all right, that's pretty much it. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, signing off to the new e-collar list that I just got added to. See if I can chime in every now and then and find out what's going on. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. For now.